This is the best Mk.gee Dream Police tone recreation on the Boss Sy-200. Let's get to Signal Chain. So Signal Chain is my noon jazz master. This guitar has P90s, and I'm going to be sticking with the neck P90 for this video. And we're going mono, obviously, into the Electro Harmonix Pog 3, that for the most part, we're going to be using just kind of as a creative soundboard, honestly. I'll explain that in a bit. Then we're going mono out to the Boss Sy-200, and then mono to the Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus, and then stereo out to the interface. And then going back to the Pog 3, we're also using the direct out to go to the Meris Enzo X, and then stereo from the Meris Enzo X out to the interface. And that brings up the most important point to getting this tone, is we're going direct into the interface. And I know, go figure with Mk.gee, that we're going direct. But it's really crucial to getting this Dream Police guitar synth sound that Mk.gee originally used the VG8 by Roland. But honestly, you can get, in my opinion, a near perfect recreation with the Boss Sy-200, to where, like, if I were Mk.gee, this is probably how I would tour. If I had lots of time and people setting stuff up, I'd tour with all the real stuff. But if I had to set all my own stuff up and I wanted everything to be perfectly reliable, this is the exact setup that I would use. So enough talking, let's get to building out the tone. Obviously, we're starting with the Boss Sy-200. This is the factory preset 81. It was originally called Bode Bass, but I renamed it Bode Pad because that's the setting on the VG8 that Mk.gee originally used. And that to say as well, I have another video recreating Mk.gee's more direct guitar tone for some of his other tunes, but this is just focusing on that guitar synth tone from the song Dream Police. So here's the clean tone. Just a very direct sounding clean tone. And here is the Bode Bass 81 preset on the Boss. If you're familiar with the Boss, the variation is variation number 3. So if you want to go to variation number 3, and tone is at 65, resonance 50, and depth is at 50. Here's what that sounds like. So immediately, like, it's there. But I think importantly with the Boss Sy-200 is that whether I'm going direct or on a pedal board or anything, I never use it without a filter and a reverb and a delay most of the time. So even though this building block to the effect is something that is very unique to the Boss Sy-200, the rest of these effects that I'm going to add onto it aren't very unique. You can use whatever reverb or, stuff, but this is something, as we build it out, these effects have proven to be my favorite, but you can build it out however you want. So 2 things that are so important to Mk.gee's sound and to why we're going direct is because the Iridium or an amp and cab sim aren't built like to receive synthesizer information. And synthesizer information has very, very bold, deep tones, which guitar, amp, and cab sims, oftentimes you try and filter those out because you don't really need those and it will just muddy up your tone. But listen to how deep this can get just with the Boss SY-200 for that really initial attack. Which I find is something very unique that we need for that Mk.gee sound. That and the VG8 is very masterful about using the full stereo field because it can separate all of the strings and place them in different places on the stereo field. We obviously can't do that with the Boss SY-200, but that's why I'm going stereo with the Zoom, and I'll show you why we're going to add the Enzo X as well coming up. But right as soon as we add this plate reverb from the Zoom, it's going to sound even more huge. And like the Boss SY-200 is so dynamic and the tracking is perfect. So it really is perfect for this, for that Dream Police Mk.gee tone, because it is a very dynamic tone. Like whether you're playing softer or harder really matters. So let's continue to build out this tone. I'm using a gated reverb as well. So here's quickly how it sounds without that and then with. And then with. It's just got that really splashed out immediate effect to it that Mk.gee is pretty famous for. So it's pretty neat that the Boss or the Zoom has that. Gated reverb though, you can use whatever one you like the best. And I'll skip that for a second. And chorus is a must-have to get that Mk.gee sound. So here's what it sounds with and without. Now here's how it sounds with. And I really think, again, those are all very basic effects, and I think this is very usable for that Dream Police, but here's the last effect before and after. So this is a filter. Like I said, I don't usually use the Boss SY-200 without a filter anyways, so here's before and after. And here's the filter. It just adds even more dynamics and nails that Dream Police tone. So we are getting so close to having this tone built out fully. And I'm so thrilled with this. Again, the only caveat to this being on your pedal board again is that you need to have this going direct to get this exact sound, very degraded in a certain way that the original Roland VG8 was able to achieve as well, very direct sounding. And I'm going to add one final thing because it really helps with the feel of this preset and the stereo field, and that is the Enzo X. So here's what that preset sounds like. And granted, I don't love this preset alone, but here's how it sounds. It's a very fretless style, bass heavy, little bit of ambience and vibrato setting, but it really hits perfectly on that stereo field and adds a bit of an acoustic feel to this very synth heavy preset, which is important for that Mk.gee tone. So I'm adding this just to show you kind of how I've been experimenting with it, but you don't need the Enzo X for this. You just need the Boss Sy-200. But for fun, let's add these together. So here's the full tone, and then without the Enzo X, and then I'll add it. And here's the Enzo X. Just sounds so good. I'll do a little before and after, a quick couple notes. Here's without the Enzo X. Here's with. The easiest way to explain its importance as well is it's not hitting the resonant filter because this tone is being split at the Pog 3. So if I play lightly enough, a lot of what you're hearing is the Enzo X. So here's a little example of that. So it adds that pre-attack that's a little bit more acoustic feeling, a little bit more moody. And then here's that riff without the Enzo X. Quickly with. That little riff, by the way, is the intro to Half-Life by Dejo. Just an awesome song. I love it so much. Here's kind of how more of that sounds like the track. Just a sweet tone. That's in the verse, by the way. But ultimately, if we even want to follow more after Mk.gee's footsteps, it would be to further experiment with this tone. And the other reason why I love having the Enzo X set up is because we can kind of mix and match tones. The Boss Sy-200 is set up and we're loving this initial tone, but the Enzo X will more affect our trail, kind of the more pad sound at the end of the chain. So let's kind of hear what that sounds like. Here's the VHS Dream on the Enzo X. The Enzo X is just so good at adding a hi-fi stereo image that's also a synth tone to the end of your to your chain. Let's Secret Journey is an absolute classic on the Enzo X. Here's what that sounds like. And this is like my dream tone and setup because we're using the attack and the tracking accuracy of the Boss Sy-200 mixed with the awesome tones and vibes of the Enzo X. And you can hear right as the Sy-200's tone is kind of fading out and being a little bit restricted by the resonant filter, that's when the Enzo X kind of blooms into its full tone where it just blends perfectly. Listen to this. Man, I hope this is blowing your mind as much as it is mine, because this style of tone and playing with the direct using the Boss Sy-200 with the Enzo X, or even the Chimera by Banana Effects, is just so inspiring. I love it so much. And guys, if a lot of you have the Enzo X out there that watch these videos, you guys know the tracking leaves a bit to be desired, but when you use it in this way with the Sy-200, it doesn't seem to bother me almost at all. The tracking that it lacks gets filled in by the Boss Sy-200 with my ears and just becomes pretty seamless. So So that's going to cap off this video. Feel free to put any questions in the comments. I'm going to put all of the settings for this entire setup in the description. So if you want to recreate it one-to-one, you absolutely can. And I'm so stoked that all of us that are interested in this Dream Police tone, but maybe don't really care too much to try and recreate it effect for effect with what he uses, can really play around with this outcome with the Sy-200 in a really seamless way. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.